welcome very much to our presentation, the webinar on Unrivaled Efficiency and Sustainability. Today we would like to guide you through our mission, our statement of the sustainability agenda, how we have designed our robots, starting with the robot controller, the robot itself. We also have a service perspective on what we are doing to guide you through the life cycle, and end with a summary and a Q&A. So my name is Peter Fixell, and I'm the Global Product Manager of Robot Controllers. But first, let's start with the first topic on our agenda, that is the sustainability part. And with us, we have Emma.
Yes, hello everybody and welcome. My name is Emma Brimdier, and I am the Global R&D Sustainability Specialist here at ABB Robotics. And I'm so glad that you are all joining us today. So, as Peter said, I'm here to talk about our sustainability agenda here at ABB Group. We have three main pillars in our agenda, which we can see here. So the first is that we enable a low carbon society. We also promote social progress. And our third pillar is that we preserve resources. And while working with each of these, we make sure to constantly have integrity and transparency. So for each of our three pillars, we have many goals that we are working towards. To enable a low carbon society, we are working to be net zero by 2050. We are also aiming to preserve resources by ensuring our products are circular and have goals to reduce the amount of waste that we send to landfill and to protect the water, biodiversity, and the use of land. For social progress, we are striving to have more women in senior management and ensuring the health and safety of our employees by constantly working to reduce the amount of lost time when it comes to injuries. And while we could talk about each of these in more depth, today I really want to focus on how we are enabling a low carbon society. So as I said, ABB has a target to be net zero by 2050. And I know there are many debates in the sustainability community about when we need to reach net zero. But according to the science-based community, we need to be net zero by around 2050. And when we talk about net zero, we really mean that we're aligned with the Paris Agreement and the goal to keep our emissions below 1.5 degrees. And so we've broken this target to include Scope 1 and Scope 2, which defines our own emissions in our factories, in our offices, transportation, etc. But we also have a goal to reduce our Scope 3 emissions by 25% in 2030 and 90% in 2050. This includes reducing the emissions from our products, such as the mining and the extraction of the materials, as well as the smelting and the casting process. And it includes our emissions at our customer sites. In other words, at your sites. Because whenever the robots are running and using electricity, they're also creating emissions. And we have another target at ABB Group to enable our customers to avoid 600 megatons of CO2 emissions. And that's really the target of today's meeting. How can we, at ABB, help you, our customers, reduce your emissions and energy usage? And I think this is a really great goal because by reducing your energy consumption, it reduces our emissions and therefore helps us achieve our goal. And if your company has sustainability targets, we can also help you achieve your goal and save energy. And one of the ways that we can reduce energy consumption is by making our products more energy efficient. And one of the ways we can do that is with our new OmniCore controller. Back over to you, Peter.
Thank you very much, Emma, for guiding us through the vision statement we have and the sustainability agenda. Well, we can talk about the agenda, how we operate, how we run our business, how we do our sourcing, how we produce, but ultimately we will also have products that will be the concrete a visual statement of what we can help you with. OmniCore is our new family of robot controllers, replacing the RC5. And for the OmniCore controller, in order to simplify the discussion on what are the value creators that we bring with this product, we have divided it into 6 different areas, like endless flexibility. How can you build and create your own applications? Digitalization and security, productivity, of course, which is a baseline of a robot system to be productive, sustainability, as we are targeting today, safety, and a lifelong commitment. But today, we will focus on the sustainability part. So on the next slide, I will show you, there it comes. What is sustainability? When we discuss sustainability on our products, when we are creating the products, when we are reviewing designs, well, we are sustainable when we discuss the choice of material, the sourcing, the production of the product. But what we give to you as customers is the energy consumption. So that is really what we want to target with this presentation. We are lowering the energy consumption with up to 20% with the new OmniCore controller. And that is really using the latest technology that is available on the market and really creating the designs that will fulfill those targets that we have. And on the next slide, so I will show you 3 different areas where we do believe from a design and integration point of view that energy efficiency really makes a difference. So among these 3, the first one really is about the design of the controller itself. And I think you all are familiar with electrical vehicle. And if you're running an electrical vehicle and you're braking, so what happens with the energy that previously was just using brakes, mechanical brakes, which so ultimately got into be heat and waste. Now you're using the motor in the vehicle to actually act as a generator and charge your battery, so you can use that energy when you are accelerating again. Now on an industrial product like the OmniCore controller and the robotics business we are in, we don't have batteries. So the way we have done it is to, when the robot is braking or reducing speed, the energy that it's hosting is fed back to the grid. So that is used by a technology we call bidirectional rectifier. So if we are using energy from the grid, okay, so we pump it into the robot and make the robot move. When the robot is coming to a stop, we feed that energy back to the grid. And in this way, we will save up to 20% energy. So that is a first way really to make the operation of the robot efficient. On the next slide, there is a situation when you are using the robot and you are in operation, but as you all know, there are pauses in your production process. When the robot is waiting for a machinery or some other process equipment, or if you have a tacted production line, you're waiting for the next tact. So there are waiting time built into any process that we look at. And traditionally, you have kept the robot running with the motors energized. And when the motors are energized, you are fighting gravity. So really the robot is standing still, obviously, but it's fighting gravity and by that consuming a lot of energy. And for a large size robot, this is about 800 watts. So what you can do is to activate the brakes directly. You can do it within 3 seconds, 10 seconds, your choice. But if you activate it early, you are saving 800 watts during operational waiting times. So that is the second part we have. Now on the third part, when it comes to design of a robot system, and illustrated with this nice bear that is sleeping, it's what we call hibernate or wake on lawn. So imagine that you're going for lunch, or imagine that you're leaving the factory for the evening. It would be so traditional to leave all the systems powered up. But what if you want to save the energy that the robot system or any process equipment is consuming? then we have what we call a remote switch. So remote switch enables you to switch off all the robots from a PLC or some other equipment that you have centralized, and by that saving another 200 watts approximately. So it's consuming less than 5 watts in this status. So really 3 during operation, while waiting, and when you are downtime during nights, evenings, weekends, that really if you are active, you can save a lot of energy. So these are the things built into the system. Now I want to hand over to our friend within the robotics business, and that is Mischa Troxler. No, sorry, I have I have one left. When you program the robot. When you program the robot, that's really when you're running the robot, either you do a manual programming that is based on the experience of that specific person, or you can use our software platform, Robot Studio, and that software platform, we can provide you with automatic path planning, meaning that we provide you with a starting point and an end point. And with a starting point and end point, the Robot Studio software will automatically generate the best path in between those positions. And it will, if you have simulated the environment in a CAD model, it avoids collisions, it gets the perfect uncollided path that it is. And in this way, you can reduce a programming time from approximately 45 minutes to 2 seconds. It's just a click away. You will reduce the cycle time, and best of all, you will reduce the energy consumption with, in this example, 36%, but it's an average we have. So depending on how complex path, you will save more. If it's a fairly simple path, maybe you will not save 36%, but it will give you the best ever path. So that was a fourth thing, how you program your robot. So we really are focusing on giving you the best opportunity to be sustainable. Now it's time to hand over to my friend Mischa.
Thank you, Peter. My name is Mischa Troxler, and I'm jumping in here for Nico, as I'm typically responsible for mid-size robots. So I'm acting as the global product manager for mid-size robots. Nico is unfortunately ill, so I'm taking his part in today's webinar. When talking about energy efficiency, we have on one hand these great features that we are just had a brief introduction from Peter, and we of course need also a manipulator that puts this logic into real movements. And here the goal on this on the manipulator itself is of course to save weight. So the less weight you have to accelerate, the less energy you need. Now it depends a bit where you have the weight. So it's not necessarily the overall weight, or it need to be reduced everywhere to the same extent. I will come back to that on the second slide. With the new generation of large robots, we started to really look into this energy efficient robot design. And here we see very big impacts that we can make on the weight of the robot. So we save up to 17% of weight. This results not only in manufacturing, also in transportation, but also at your end at the energy consumption in the use phase. We have, as I said, we have a bit different picture. I wanted to say we don't need to save everywhere the same amount of weight. So it's more important that you save the weight on moving parts like upper arm or the wrist, while the lower arm is typically not so important concerning concerning energy savings, but it's very important on stiffness. So we are focusing really on not compromising on the performance, so speed, accuracy, and so on, you name it. We really want to have, we are not compromising there, but we are keeping our robot as light as possible. On the next slide, we see a comparison now broken down to the different levels. This is now the example of the 7700, the second new robot from our large portfolio. We see that the total weight has been reduced by 8-9%. Doesn't sound like super much, but important is that the wrist and the upper arm in general got lighter. And here we see drastic reductions of up to 26%. So the weight here is drastically decreased, and this will help saving energy in the use phase. On the next slide, we see the average savings, or the up to savings to 20% for 6700. This is splitted. One hand, roughly 10% from the OmniCore contributed, and 10% due to the lightweight design of the robot. And on the 7700 or 77XO, it's up to 30%. Here we have more contribution because we are also having more heavy robot that we redesigned. Yes, in this context, I would like to give you two examples what this could mean on application levels. So we have done two extremes. I need to admit that. We take a spot welding line having a fleet size of 500 robots, a cycle time of 60 seconds, thereof 50 seconds robot running and 10 seconds robot in waiting position. For the simulation purpose, we used 8 hours, 3 shifts for 5 days a week. We compared this between our 6700 based on IRC5 and our new 6720 based on OmniCore. So it's same payload reach combination, and we are here facing a reduction of yearly of very high numbers, more than 1 gigawatt energy that we are saving per year. So this is not only a goal to contribute to your sustainability aspects, this is directly money that is reduced from your electricity bill and moved out of your OPEX expenses. Of course, this is very different depending whether this is in Americas, in Europe, or in Asia, or in China. We differentiate there between Asia without China or China, because the price level of the kilowatt hours for industrial use is pretty different between these 4 regions. But still, the important message here is 14% of energy consumption, and this is independent if you have 500 robots or 1 robot. At the end of the day, it's 14% savings. Second example is for 7700 based. Yeah, can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So here we have a die casting low duty application. This is smaller fleet size, a long cycle of 120 seconds, 30 seconds the robot is running, and 90 seconds the robot is standing still. For simulation purpose, we took 8 hours, 2 shifts, and 5 days a week. And we are comparing here the two, a 7710 on OmniCore with the 7710 on OmniCore, but one with brakes on and the other one without brakes on. But what Peter just explained a few minutes ago. So to just engaging the brakes can reduce the energy can reduce your energy consumption by roughly 30%. This pays out as well on your electricity bill and contributes, of course, to your through the sustainability goals. And with that, I hand over to Jan, I think.
Yeah, you're right, Mika. Thank you. So hello, everyone. My name is Jan Schindler, and I'm a global product manager for upgrades. And I'm speaking here on behalf of a customer service and our point of view to sustainability topic. So by listening Peter and Mika and hearing about all of the new features, there are actually like 2-3 questions that came to my mind, and I'd like to find an answer to those for you. So the first one is like, what should I choose first out of those really great features that we are providing, and what would be an impact to my installation? The second question is, if I already have a robot installed, no matter if with OmniCore system that we are speaking about today, but also with the older systems, what kind of improvements I can achieve there? And the last one is, a lot of you are implementing the ISO standard 50001, and what kind of actions can you do to improve those initiatives within that standard, and also be able to easily report it and discuss it with your managers to get the money for the improvements? And to all of those questions, we are trying to provide an answer in a tool which is called Energy Efficiency Service. This toolbox consists of 3 separate tools that can be used exactly to answer those questions that I mentioned. The first one, the standby energy optimization, is focused on improving an energy on the phase of a robot when it's not moving, when it's in idle. So it will tell you exactly, as Peter mentioned, if you will use hibernate mode or sleep mode, how much you will save in your particular case on your installation. The second tool, program optimization, is focused on the production phase, which means how you can improve the robots that are already programmed, what kind of programming habits you have there, and what you can do to get better consumption out of the systems that you already running. And the last but not least, if you will do all of those changes by using those 2 tools, you will probably want to keep that state. So if you will reach a better consumption, you don't want to jump back in a week because of uploading a wrong backup into the robot. So therefore, we are providing the last tool, which is called energy monitoring and benchmarking, that will allow you to constantly monitor a robot consumption and be notified proactively if something wrong happened. And if you want to know more, there will be a separate webinar for it, 12th of February, and on a link in the presentation, you can register and know more about those 3 tools that we are providing. On the next slide, as we are working with the robots that are in your factories, it's good to talk about how OmniCore controller and the steps we did support circular economy. So first, we implement a lot of old manipulators that ABB produce into the robotware of the OmniCore controller, which means that you can easily switch an IRC5 controller for the OmniCore for the latest one. And if you have a really good manipulator in a good state, you can keep it and you can run it on OmniCore system, which brings a lot of new features that has been mentioned. And now what to do with the old one? So we have a buyback system. So we can buy back the old controller from you, refurbish it in the refurbishment center, and give a second life to the robotic system that can be then used by another customers. So by doing all of those things together, we are extending the life of ABB products, and we're helping you to get rid of the old products that are not useful for you. And all of those will support, as we believe, a circular economy. And all of those things are implemented in the OmniCore system, OmniCore ecosystem. And that's all for me. So handing word over to Peter.
And welcome back to me. So a super summary of what we have been digging into. So Emma gave you the DNA perception from ABB sustainability agenda. I gave you the presentation of the new OmniCore controller with a lot of built-in features, but also highlighted what you can do in your installation for improving your efficiency. Also on the Robot Studio automatic path planning, that is actually available if you have installed base of RC5 controllers. If you have a bottleneck, dig into using the automatic path planning to remove the bottleneck, and you can see your productivity increasing. On the robot line, we have done a lot of redesigns. Imagine this, I think it's 7th or 8th generation of large robots from ABB, and still we are improving. We are never giving up on giving you the best robot ever. Where you have built-in redesigns to remove or reduce the energy consumption, but also increasing the performance and the flexibility of the robot itself. And last, we talked about our life cycle support. So if you want to get help to evaluate your installed base and your factories, you can use our customer service organization. They are ready to help you to improve your productivity, reduce your cost of operating. And once you're done with the robots, we can buy them back and give them a second life for customers that still are in need of those dedicated robots and give them the opportunity to produce even further. So these are really the cornerstones of the ABB Robotics product offer and service offer. So you're welcome to get in contact with anyone locally in your country. You will find our offices available throughout the world. So before we dig into the Q&A session, we will give you a poll, and Jean, you will help us.
Yes, thank you, Peter. We will have 2 polls. The first one is, when thinking about total cost of ownership, is carbon footprint reduction a priority for your company this year? We have 3 options: yes, no, and I don't know. And most of our participants, 58% of them, so far answered yes. Total cost of ownership, is carbon footprint reduction priority this year? Yes, 62% now. And with that, we will proceed to the second poll question. Do you have any automation requirements coming up that see energy efficiency and carbon footprint a key factor? In this one, only 2 options, yes or no. And also 56% of our participants answered yes. Thank you so much for participating in our poll questions. And now I will bring all our presenters on stage for the Q&A session.
Great. So do we have any questions, Jean?
Yes, so far we have 1 question, but please, if you have more questions, do write them in the Ask the Speaker panel. Before I proceed, Peter also provided a link to the next webinar for the energy efficiency webinar this February. You can also see the link in the Ask the Speaker panel. So the question is from Ladislav. Hello all, I'd like to ask if is somewhere or somehow visible the regenerative energy. It means how much energy robot recuperated per day, week, or month. Is it possible to get this kind of overview?
I would say that is a really good question. Currently, we don't have it. I would say we have the data inside the system, of course, but we haven't made it public. And initially, maybe not an excuse, but it was a design criteria. We didn't believe that the data crunching would be interesting. But I know also if you're driving in an EV vehicle, you have on the dashboards who is consuming what energy. And it really feels good when you see how you are actually contributing to the environment. So we have a task to make it visible and bring it to your attention. You can present it either on the robot's flex pennant itself, or you can share the data with your dashboard for the factories. So we will come back on that topic and make energy consumption and recuperation visible.
Any additional comments with that one before we proceed with the second one? All good? Yes?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. The second question is from Erwin. When will the OmniCore be available as panel mount version?
Yeah, so it's not about sustainability. Maybe you might see that it's sustainability that we are reusing the space you have available in your application. So for anyone that is not familiar with our product offer, we have a panel mounted version, which means we present bits and pieces to the integrator, and the integrator is the one designing the cupboard or the enclosure where you put the different elements like the computer, drive, power supply. So really, we have that on our list to do yet. So let's come back at the end of this year and we will tell you more.
Thank you. Another one, and again, we encourage you, if you have more questions, feel free to write them in the Ask the Speaker panel. Last one, Peter, will the Pathfinder be available in online mode?
Now I'm thinking if you're referring back to our presentation, so that is the automatic path planning. And yes, we have made it available in online mode. So the one I showed you was really hosted in the Robot Studio environment, which means that is a preparation and planning and programming that you do upfront for your installation. And that would preferably be a static installation. However, we know that you have dynamic applications as well. Dynamic applications could be picking from a palette, and each and one of the times you would like to generate a new path that is the most efficient one. And yes, we launched that online solution in December last year. So now you can have this software module and integrate it into your application and enjoy automatic path planning for every path that you are taking dynamically.
Thank you. That's it for our Q&A, but there's one comment here from Lloyd. He's not asking a question, he just wants to say that it's a great and relevant information we shared, and he wants to thank ABB, and he's looking forward for the energy efficiency webinar on the 12th of February.
Yeah.
I will, yes.
That is really great feedback. I know we have this in our DNA. We have the driver to present to you the very best robotic solutions ever. And we are collaborating with partners internally with R&D and research departments really to find the best solution. But the real proof of when we have done right is to get comments like this one. So thank you very much, Lloyd.
Thank you. Again, I would like to mention that the link to the energy efficiency webinar is in the Ask the Speaker panel. Feel free to click the link and register for the event on February. Also, after this webinar, you will receive an email with the link to the recording. So if you want to rewatch this webinar, you can do that. Peter, Misha, Jan, and Emma, before we end this presentation, if you have any final thoughts or key takeaways that you want to share to our participants, you're welcome to take the stage.
Okay, so who will be the first? So I just thank you very much for spending 40 minutes with us. It's a joy from our side to really get the opportunity to talk to you, spread our mission, our values, and the products we have designed. So thank you very much, and hope you really enjoyed.
Yeah, I'd like to stress all the questions you raised. Once again, thanks a lot for them, because it helps to make our products better and to get a feedback from what we are developing. So please, more of those. And thank you for being with us.
Yes, thank you all for coming. And it was really interesting to see the results of the poll, that so many of you are seeing energy efficiency as a key factor in the future. Contact us with any questions and have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Again, thank you, dear presenters, for sharing this presentation to all of us, and also to our participants. Thank you so much for taking your time to join and participate in our webinar today. And we hope to see you again in our next webinar on February Energy Efficiency webinar.